What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Team Fish Knuckles YouTube channel. Today is week 2 of the city results. I guess it's technically like week 1 of the results, but it's week 2 of the series. And if you just introduce yourself, I didn't let Andrew introduce himself last time, so sorry, Andrew. So if you want to introduce yourself real quick.
I'm Andrew Womble. I run the Charizard Lounge, and I play out of St. Louis, Missouri.
Kevin.
All right, I'm Kevin Baxter. I've been on this channel a few times before. I play in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Okay, so I guess the first question, I didn't go to any cities, but did either one of y'all go to cities last weekend?
Yep. I went to 2 cities in Indianapolis area last weekend. And
Yep.
on the Saturday, I played Tyrantrum Bronzong, and I went 5-1. And then I lost in top 8 to Raichu Crobat, played by Ryan Grant, and he ended up winning the tournament. And then Sunday, I played Mega Rayquaza with Zoroark, and I went 4-1-1, and I got 10th place.
Oh, the bubble.
Yeah, I played all 3 days in Indianapolis. The first day I went 4-0-2 and lost in top 4 to Matt Alvis. The second day I went 1-2 drop. I just had some bad hands. And then the third day I went 4-1-1. Ended up making it in at 6th seed and took first in the event.
There you go. So, let's get top 4, a first, and a top 8 from out of y'all this weekend. So that's very nice. So congratulations. Wait, Kevin, you didn't tell what deck were you playing too?
Right. Yeah, I was playing the same deck the whole weekend. Me and Dustin Zimmerman played the same list. We changed a couple cards from day to day, but it was the same basic deck. The Evol-Zoroark Gallade deck.
There we go. Okay. So I guess for those who don't know, like Andrew said, he runs the Charizard Lounge, and he's been keeping up like a beast. Already has all the results from last week, has everything that won in standard and expanded from all the states. So down below will be a link to the article. Go check it out, and you can see what we were talking about exactly. Now, it's interesting to note that the very first deck that had the most, I guess, overall placements is Mega Manectric, which, I don't know, that seems weird to me, because with Night March being so rampant, it seems like it'd be like a not an okay deck. But what do y'all think? Why was it number 1, do you think?
I think it saw probably some of the most play out of any deck. And then it's not necessarily awful against Night March, because they can power up. Well, one, Mega Manectric has 210 HP, and they don't have like Silver Bangle or anything like that anymore. So they have a bit more difficulty getting to 210. And then, as long as the Mega Manectric comes out, they can power up Articuno, and anytime they attack with Articuno, they're pretty much going to be taking 2 prizes on Night March.
Yeah, and they can also just Lysander Shamans whenever to catch up on the prizes. I think Mega Manectric is just really consistent in general. Like, if you get a energy attachment, you're almost to Turbo Bolt, and then from there you just keep attacking. So I think that's probably the reason a lot of people played it. Is just it does the same thing every game.
Okay. Now, I know, Wamball, on your list, on the article, you're talking about the notes that Mega Manectric, you just have it just by itself. But do you remember what was the most heavily played Mega Manectric? Like, what version of it was?
The most popular one was just Mega Manectric with water Pokemon like Regice and Articuno. And then I think after that is a really weird one is like Mega Manectric with Gengar EX and Wobbuffet. And then the other ones were like that Mega Manectric Crobat thing, and Mega Manectric with Pyroar from Phantom Forces with the catcher-like ability.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw several people playing that over the weekend.
I know going into cities, that was like a really, really hype deck, like the Mega Manectric Pyroar where target whistles, and you just like bring Shamans out over and over again. I guess, why do y'all think that deck's not like performing so well as people thought it was before cities were coming up?
Um,
Uh,
it loses the Gallade. And I don't know, I guess it also against Lucario decks and other fighting
Tyrantrum
decks.
beats it too.
Yeah, that too. So, I mean, it's really good against like killing shamans, but you can't always rely on that if they like either don't bench it or you don't hit your target whistle at the right time. Like you can kind of get overrun by things like Vespiquen too.
And then they go lower on the Lysander count. So like when I was playing Tyrantrum, what I do a lot was get my Tyrantrum powered up with Bronzong, and then Hex Maniac to shut off whatever abilities they had. And then I'd take my knockout. And then if they were trying to use some ability on their next turn, then they were just shut down for a turn. And then I was able to just Lysander something up, and all of a sudden I could jump out to 4 quick prizes without giving up any.
Yeah, very true. Now, next up on the list, I guess it's Night March, but that's, not that big of a surprise. I think Night March is probably one of the best decks in Standard. Like, pretty easy to play, and it's fairly straightforward. I don't think there's anything too interesting. I guess just another question. When y'all were at Cities, did you see more of, like, the Bronzong or Milotic version? Because I know both those two decks were kind of, like, being hyped and saying which one is better.
I think I saw it was played with Vespiquen, and then I had like a 1/1 Bronzong line in it.
Yeah, I think. Well, actually, the first day, the Friday of the Indianapolis mini marathon, was like almost half the field was Night March. It was everywhere, and most of them had the Bronzong. I think they were probably playing like 2-2. I'm not sure, but yeah, Bronzong's by far the most popular in Indianapolis.
I don't know. It's maybe I'm just crazy, but it still seems like the Milotic version, like, so much better. I don't know.
That seems really bad because you don't really have a good answer to Jirachi then. And then if you're depending on just getting double colorlesses back, Giratina kind of beats you pretty bad as well.
Yeah, true. I don't know. Now Kevin died on us. Sorry about that.
I told you it was going to happen randomly at some
Oh
point.
yeah, I know it's gonna happen randomly. You always die on these shows. That's okay. Now he's just a spinning wheel. We'll see if he ever comes back. Probably won't see Kevin's face again. Okay, so next up is, let's see. This is all standard too. We'll talk about expanded here in a second. I guess we'll go with the top 3 decks. And next up's gonna be Evol-Zoroark, and I know Kevin probably has the most experience with this deck. But I guess the question is, how does Evol keep coming back? You saw it lose Dark Patch last year, and it was still like one of the best in Cities, and now it lost to Darkrai, and it's still maybe one of the best decks in Cities. So how does Evol keep coming back?
Are we talking about the deck I played?
Yeah.
Well, the reason that it's still so good is that Baby Evil is like one of the best attackers in the format against Night March. So when there was so much Night March, because it was a really good play for week 1, just because you don't exactly know what the meta is going to be, and it kind of sets the pace for what the format is. Killing everything with non-EXs. So just having the Baby Evil to take care of Night March really helps, and then having the backup of Zoroark as another non-EX attacker that can do a lot of damage. It lets you keep even and then even go ahead in the prize trade if they have to bench Shamans, because you're not as reliant on Shamans to set up. And then Evil EX is just always going to be one of the best cards in the format. It's probably the most efficient EX attacker at killing other EXs.
That's
So,
true.
except for like Tyrantrum.
So what are your opinions on this Wombat? Like, I know you played against the deck, didn't you?
Yeah, I only played it against it once the first day, but then the second day I was there, I played against it 4 of my 6 rounds.
It was everywhere. Everybody asked for my list for that day.
It seemed really good. Pretty consistent. I think Zoroark does some really interesting things with the way the format went headed into it. There's a lot of decks, like Tyrantrum, for example, and Mega Ray. They play Skyfield, just because they have so much to set up. So then they load up their bench, and then you have to be really careful with how much you load it up, because otherwise, if you fill up an entire Skyfield bench, you're going to be giving up a Tyrantrum or Mega Ray to one-hit KO from a Zoroark. And then when that starts happening, you're going to have a really awkward prize exchange going on. So you have to really think about how you're setting up your bench when you're playing against it. And then outside of that, I think the Gallade really helped just wreck face against Mega Manectric decks. And then it's a good attacker in general. Like the 150 HP is pretty hard to work around if you're not playing a one-hit KO deck. And then Evol EX, just like Kevin said, it's just always been good.
That's true. All right, give us 1 second. We're gonna fix the Skype and get Kevin's camera working. So give me 1 second. All right, so we got Kevin back on us, whatever. We figured out his video problems. He has really bad internet, and he had to reset his router. I'm not sure where we left off, but I guess the next question is going to be for everybody is, for standard wise, what was the weirdest deck, or I guess the deck you're happy to see make top cut, but it does not one of the top 3 decks, because I know Kevin will instantly say like his Evol-Zoroark deck, of course. Besides the top 3 decks, what was the deck you were happy to see make cut?
I'd probably say Machamp Ariados. I didn't see any bronze songs in the stuff before we're reporting, but it's still cool to see the general concept do well. I'm not really sure what they use to power up Machamp, probably just like Landorus. But it's cool to see it do well. I know the 1-1, it looked like it was just a bunch of Mega Manectric in the top 8 and stuff I had really good matchups against. So that might have
just beat
helped
them all.
it win. But it had it made a top 4 as well, and then I saw it in some of the top 8s too, but didn't advance into the top 4 from those.
Alright. I'd say I really am interested by the Mega Mewtwo EX decks. I've seen it like paired with Zong or Aromatisse. I think that's really cool to see, and it's kind of underexplored right now. Kind of needs a metagame without as much Night March, just because Pumpkaboo kills it really easily. But if Night March falls out a little bit, I think it could make a pretty big showing somewhere down the line.
The good thing about all this stuff is One Vault said Machamp, and I just did a video about Machamp. Kevin said both Mewtwo decks, and I did a video about Mega Mewtwo Speed with Mega Turbos, one with Bronzong, and one with Aromatisse. So you can take your pick and go see all of them. But my favorite deck to make cut was Houndoom Bunnelby. Because I know everybody hates mill decks, and those are my favorite decks to play, because that means everybody hates me for the day, and I'm fine with that. So, and sadly did lose Night March, and Weball explained to me pretty well why a Night March beat it. But still, shout out to Austin Bags for making second place with Houndoom Bunnelby. Alright, so next up is going to be expanded. Let's go over the top 3 decks like we did with standard. First deck is Vespiquen. Same with Night March. Not really that, like, I don't know, surprise factor, I guess. But what do y'all think about the Vespiquen still being like the #1 expanded deck?
I don't think it's really surprising. I was looking at the fall regional results week by week, and Yveltal was still the #1 deck as far as fall regionals went. But if you were to look at it on like a trend graph, kind of like how you have like political polling, and you just see one candidate shoot up while the other comes down, you kind of had that thing going on where Yveltal and Vespiquen were merging, but Yveltal was going in the wrong direction, and Vespiquen was shooting up in the right direction. So this just seems like the continuation of how fall regionals went, and especially with Seismitoad Giratina getting second in Fort Wayne. I think that made that deck more popular, and Vespiquen's pretty good against it. So that probably just made Vespiquen even better than it was before.
Yeah, I think it makes sense too. I personally think Vespiquen's probably the best deck. At least it has like the most upside, I think, just because Seismitoad Giratina is going to do the same thing every time. You know what you get out of it. And then Yveltal is always going to be solid. Like, it's never a wrong play, but you also kind of know what you're getting out of that. Whereas Vespiquen can just like blow up on turn one and knock out everything, and then just keep blacksmithing every turn after that. So I think it makes sense that it was doing the best the first weekend, and I expect it to continue.
Okay, all right. So the next deck, I don't know, it really did surprise me. It's a Seismitoad Giratina EX deck. Even with Jirachi, I guess it's not enough to handle the expanded version of Seismitoad Giratina. What do y'all think still is still the number 2 deck?
I mean, a lot of people are just playing it because that's what's good. So I think it probably has the advantage of being played the most. I personally don't like the deck. I wouldn't play it, but I understand why people do.
I actually like the deck quite a bit for expanded. It's still really strong, being able to Quaking Punch and then laser people. And like Jirachi's not quite as good in expanded for stopping Toad. Because like if you have Jirachi up and you remove energy, and they have Verbank out, they could flip heads on laser, and Jirachi stays asleep, and then they Quaking Punch, and then it'll not. If you don't replace the Verbank, the Jirachi will get KO'd, coming back into your turn. And I don't think it has any terrible matchups. Like it can just hammer away all Vespiquen's energies. Same with Night March. It can stop Blastoise from getting set up. I think Tyrantrum's decent against it if you play both the Cobalion and Aegislash. But other than that, it doesn't really have any terrible matchups right now. And then you can play like Latios EX in it to steal donks on something like Vespiquen that gives you a little more trouble.
Okay. Now, I think the note too as well. The Seismitoad Giratina decks, there was no second place, so that means there was like no Vespiquen versus Seismitoad Giratina in the finals that we know of. So I don't know. And I just want to know how the matchup goes. You know what I mean? You know, there's
when I played at a league challenge, I just ended up donking the Combi with my Latios going first. So.
Okay, that's always a great way to do it.
So the Toad Giratina decks, one of them beat Yveltal Archeops in the finals, and then let's see.
Look, see Wamball. If you go to the link down below, you can see what exactly he's doing. You can press like Control F, and you can just like search whatever decks. That's what Wamball's doing.
And then the other one beat Dompton in the finals, and it looks like there was only one Vespiquen in the top 8, so I assume it just never played it.
Okay. Alright. Now, number 3 on the list is, I don't know, really surprising to me. I mean, it's only expanded, and we only saw 9 events. Last standard, we had 23. So, a very difference.
It's tied for 3rd, actually.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, Mega Rayquaza and Dragon. Oh, yep, it's like exactly tied. Okay, so Mega Rayquaza and Dragon's Bronzong was like Giratina and Tyrantrum, whatever you want to call it, decks. Both got 3rd place, which without saying is surprising because Yveltal got like 5th. Even though Yveltal, like you said, was like one of the best decks. I don't know if it's because nobody's playing it or it's because it's dying off, but how do y'all feel about Mega Rayquaza EX and Dragon Bronzong getting 5th or 3rd?
I like both of the decks. I played both of the decks this weekend, just their standard equivalents. And having Anna and Colress make those decks a lot better. So I'm I think just as far as decks go, they're two of the best decks you can have. Both decks can one hit KO anything that comes out, and both of them can do, like Mega Ray can do it on turn 1, and Tyrantrum can do it on turn 2. And when you're going out and doing turn 2 210 with Tyrantrum, or turn 1 240 with Mega Rayquaza, if your opponent stumbles even a little bit, you just run away with the games.
Yeah, playing this weekend in Standard definitely made me miss Chorus as a supporter. Um, just like chorusing for more than 10 is amazing, and I'm going to be excited for that for Expanded. But the other thing to think about with these decks is that any of them can beat any of the others if things go your way. And so, especially since we only saw 9 cities in Expanded format, it's not necessarily definitive that, this is the best deck and this is the second best. If anybody's like trying to think of what to play for the next weekend of Expanded, I guess just whichever of those top 3, 4, 5 decks you feel the best with, and you're not going to be wrong.
True. The only deck I would not advise to play, but it still did see play, and it's the number 4 place, was Blastoise. I still can't see Blastoise being viable anymore just because Hex Maniac. I might be crazy. Maybe there's a way for Blastoise to deal with Hex Maniacs, but I don't think so, really.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't play Blastoise either.
Yeah, I'd agree as well. I think if I was playing Vespiquen, I'd beat it. If I was playing Mega Ray, I'd beat it. Tyrantrum, I'd beat it. Yveltal, I'd beat it. So that's most of the top decks I feel like Blastoise can't really beat.
But don't get me wrong, you can always get lucky, and I mean, there's a reason why it got first, second, and a top 4.
I'm actually surprised it was able to make it through cut as well as it did. Like, I can see it being a good play to get into the top 8, but once you get in cut, unless no one's playing Hex Maniac, I think any of those decks I just talked about should be able to beat it most of the time in a best of 3.
All right, and once again, we'll ask, what was the craziest deck the deck you're most happy about being in Expanded that made cut, but wasn't one of those 4 decks? Evan might give the same answer.
No, I thought it was cool to see Mia Violet do well with her Dusknoir Darkrai deck again. So I'd probably go with that. Just I don't know how she does it, but she keeps winning events with Dusknoir. I can never get a Dusknoir deck to work nowadays, but it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, I go with the same thing. The only other interesting one, there's some Mega Mewtwo EX-Y deck, and it didn't really go into what else was in it, so I have no idea. But Darkrai Dusknoir has always been a cool deck, and then everything else is just pretty boring that people played and expanded.
My pick's gonna be Sableye Garbodor. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a big fan. I almost played it for regionals, but then I played Total Drop because it was just cool to use Bled with Mew. So
I played it for nationals 1 year. It went okay.
did you do good or bad with it?
I made top 128.
There you go. See, it's a good deck, even though that was like 3 years ago. So. All right. Well, that covers pretty much everything in Standard and Expanded that were like the top tier decks. Now, I guess the question is, will week 2, will we see a shift in the meta game, or do you think it's still like under development? Like, a lot of people are so curious. Everybody's wondering right now, is Evol-Zoroark delayed to play? Like in Indianapolis, it was everywhere. And I think some of the Northeast states as well. I think the Sock brother played it as well. I don't think either one won. But it was pretty much a surprising deck. So, will people catch on to Evol-Zoroark delayed and play it? Or will they go maybe hard counter, even though I don't know what counters it? Or will they just keep playing whatever they want to and not think about Evol-Zoroark?
I think Yveltal will see a bit more play. I think it's a real cool deck, so as a cool factor going for it, they'll make people pick it up. But as far as the results go, it didn't really separate itself above everything else. And when I look at the results, I just see a ton of decks, each having like anywhere from 5% to 10% about of the metagame locked up. So I think standard right now is really chaotic, and you're not really going to know right now what decks people are actually going to show up to the tournament with, just because there's so many decks that seem semi-viable. Like there's 28 different decks that are able to make top 4 in the first week.
Yeah, I would expect a pretty good variety for week 2 still, because for week 1 there was actually a relatively few number of events, like nationwide. Not everywhere had events this weekend, so for a lot of areas it actually is going to be the first week of cities, and if people haven't yet had the chance to play their deck for cities, they're just going to go with what they were, any of the results. So I'd say for week 2, we're not going to see like one deck dominate. It's probably just going to be a variety like it was this past week. I'm hoping Evil-Zoroark does well again. I think it's really good. And I do know some people are going to be picking it up. But I think there's still going to be tons of like, Manectric decks, Night March, Vespiquen, all the, Tyrantrum, all the other decks that people have been playing for a while and want to try out.
Okay. All right. Well, do you have anything else to add on for, I guess, the week 1 / going to week 2 before we answer the questions?
I'd say don't take out your Jirachis yet. Some people are saying that, Toad's not really take out your Jirachi. It's not just different special energy in the format that people are still playing. So I would still keep Jirachi in decks for at least week 2, and then looking forward, probably still continuing to play it.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, there wasn't even that much Toad in Indianapolis, but I felt a lot of the Jirachis were still warranted, just because so many other decks had special energy. And it might be kind of hard for newer players to see how useful that can be against stuff that isn't Seismitoad. But I think there's a lot of little skill plays and ways you can push a game into your favor just by using Jirachi at the right time.
That's very true. I don't know. Every deck that Winnebot played could be, I don't know, not destroyed by Jirachi, but definitely give them a struggle. They kept using Jirachi over and over again.
Not Tyrantrum.
Yeah.
Are you playing
Tyrantrum
fighting energies in your Tyrantrum deck?
Of course.
Oh, you're dirty.
Yeah,
You're dirty,
some people
Winnebot.
are playing like 2 and 3 fighting. It's crazy.
Alright, so
You can also just eat the Jirachi with your Tyrantrum EX too. So you don't have to even lose a turn of taking knockouts.
it like negates, it doesn't care about anything. Hey, see? Maybe Tyrantrum's the play. You only had to worry about Jirachi. They discard the energy, you're like, whatever, I'll just double dragon. Or you just discard your double dragon if you want to. They don't have to discard anything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Seems cute for sure. I don't own any Tyrantrums, that's never a play for me, so unless somebody wants to give me, I don't know, $20 or how much it is for 3 Tyrantrums. Alright, but going on to questions. The very first question, I guess because Evan's on here, is can Primal Groudon do well this weekend with Mega Manectric being so popular, or is this too risky of a play with all the Night March and Vespiquen running around?
I was actually asking Kevin the same question over the weekend, what to do with Primal Groudon, because I agree with a lot of that. I think it has pretty good matchups against most decks in the format, but then I was asking Kevin, what can I do to beat Vespiquen? And I'm not sure there's anything you can really do to beat it.
No.
And like in Expanded, what my cities are going to be, Vespiquen is the best deck for Expanded. So if I show up with Primal Groudon, I'm sure I can get through Swiss by playing only one of them. But then somewhere in top 8, I'm going to just lose to that.
Yeah, I can't in good conscience tell anybody to play Groudon right now. Between all the Night March and Vespiquen and all that, it's great against Mega Manectric. If you know that that's like 90% of the field, go for it. But, I mean, even just like all the other random decks, there's Sceptile, it's not great against because it's grass, and I don't know, Zoroark, is pretty good against it because he just two-shot it and only lose non-EXs. So I don't think Groudon's going to be played for a long time, if ever.
I would say if you really like Primal Groudon, it's diverse enough that you might just want to roll it out and play it and see how it goes. Like 3 years ago, John Roberts just kept playing Kling Klang here, and all the other good players were just playing like 4 Enhanced Hammer in their decks just to counter him. So, but then he'd never play any of them in Swiss, so he'd just go through beating all the bad players and then get to top cut, and then lose in like top 4 to someone playing 4 Enhanced Hammer, but he'd still get into the top 4. So some of it depends on what you want out of the event as well. If you're happy with just making like a top 4, then Groudon might be the deck to get you there. But if you want to win entire tournaments, then there's a good chance you'll hit something that beats Groudon before you can win the tournament.
We did see, one Primal Groudon make top 4 in Standard and none in Expanded?
Yeah, I'm seeing 1 in Standard and 1 in Expanded as well.
Oh, 1 in Expanded? Okay, yeah.
It's actually a bit better in Expanded too, because you get Tropical Beach, so you can set up a lot more quickly and consistently. But then you have the problem that Vespiquen's like 100 times better in Expanded as well.
So.
Right, and to...
Wait, what'd you say, Kevin?
I said Yveltal gets Dark Patch and Expanded, which also makes your life hard, because the only way you beat Yveltal is like killing their energy, but they just have infinite energy.
Alright, we kind of already went over this, but will we see the same decks continue to perform well, or will we see some new decks at the top tables? I'm going to say it's kind of hard. The format's still brand new. I mean, last week we saw Evol-Zoroark Gallade come out of nowhere, so it wouldn't surprise me if we had a new deck. I mean, what do y'all think?
Yeah, I think we'll probably see some new deck pop up almost every week. That's just kind of the way city championships go.
Yeah, I'd like to see some people throw Gallade into other decks, because I think it's just a good combination to just have in any deck, really. Actually, this weekend, Ross Cawthon was playing Gengar Trevenant, and he had a 1 Maxi, 1 Gallade in that deck. That was pretty sick. So it doesn't only fit in Yveltal. You can play it in other things too. I know. I think Bob Zhang played Gallade in his Vespiquen deck that he won a cities with. So I want to see more people experiment with that.
I did remember, like, at the start people were playing it like in their Nightmarch decks as well. So I don't know. That'd be cool. I mean, man, that seems really good. And like a Gengar Trevenant, if you can like constantly get the turn like the Gallade out to help beat the Mega Manetric matchup, because that's definitely like it's like one of its worst matchups.
You can play it in Expanded with Ether, and that might actually make Ether somewhat viable and Expanded.
Well, you always talk about Ether. Like every article I read, it's like almost has Ether in every deck.
Hey, you're the one with the expanded tournaments. Go win an expanded series with that.
Yeah, I don't have any expanded stuff, so good luck, Wimbo. You're on your own with Ether.
Well, I'll probably just use Dark Patches myself.
He's going to use Dark Patch and Ether with Gallade. Watch it, guys. Watch out.
There you go.
Alright, I'm going to kind of reword this question. It says, is Jirachi really enough to beat Toad? My question, I guess, is, did Jirachi beat Toad, or did we just not see Toad played?
I think Jirachi scared away people from playing Toad. So, yes and yes. It is very good against Toad, and for that reason, people are playing less Toad. It doesn't win you by... It's not like a lone Jirachi is going to win, but it puts you, ahead on energy attachments and stuff like that, it usually pushes the game in your favor.
Yeah, I didn't show up till Saturday, so I didn't see what went on Friday, but by the time I got there, I saw, almost no Seismitoad, so I wasn't sure if, people beat down the Toads day one.
There wasn't any day one.
So people just got scared or saw it in their own testing that they couldn't beat Jirachi that well, and didn't bring it.
Yeah, I only played against one Toad the entire weekend, and that was the only one I saw, I believe.
Kevin, where's your card? Here's my card. Always gotta have my babe in front of me.
I don't know.
Oh, no, I
Not
dropped
next to
her.
me.
Come back, Center Lady. Don't leave me. Don't leave me like everybody else. I got her. I saved her. Look at one of them pulling out a Jirachi. Got a Center Lady. She's always in front of me. Get that Sableye garbage out of here. Oh my goodness! It's in a case. Were you trying to like sell cards on my channel? Just right there. They had $5.
No. I'm Sean Kaufman at Regional, and it's still in the sleeve he edited.
You bought 4 Pokemon Center Ladies from Puka.
Yeah, and then I traded a couple of them away for stuff I needed, and then I got one back.
Okay. All right. We'll keep on going with the questions. The next question is Manectric versus Vespiquen. We're gonna talk more about standard. I mean, it might be the same exact thing, but how does that matchup usually go? I've never played that matchup. I don't know how it really goes. I don't know if y'all have experience with it.
I haven't really either. I don't know. I mean, go ahead.
I think Vespiquen can have some trouble knocking out the Mega Manectrics, which can let Mega Manectric keep up in the prize trade. But a lot of it depends on what you actually play Vespiquen with. Like I saw JW post up his Vespiquen list on Hay Trainer, and it had a Banette line in it. And so if you play Banette with the tool concealment, then all their Spirit Links don't work. So anytime they want to Mega Evolve, their turn ends.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't see any way that Mega Manectric can beat that. So I'd say it really depends on how you actually build your Vespiquen deck. If you play something like Banette, you can really swing the matchup in your favor. Without it, I think Mega Manectric probably goes close to even with it, because they're able to avoid one-hit KOs, and then they can power up that Articuno, and then take 2 prizes on a Vespiquen if they hit enough heads.
Yeah, I'd say if I were to play Vespiquen in Standard, I would either have the Banette or the Gallade. Probably not both, but if you have one of them, it should definitely improve your matchup.
Oh yeah.
Kevin, you gotta have both.
Just playing the Gallade seems like you'd beat it. So, unless they play like Flash Energy, and you don't play Hammers,
you can still beat it even if they have Flash Energy, because they can't kill the Gallade in one hit, so it's just gonna 2-shot it anyway.
Yeah, so probably just play Gallade then, then you probably win.
There you go.
I'm okay with it.
All right, so we're slowly figuring out maybe Vespiquen Gallade might be the best deck.
Probably.
All right, so this question is just to K-Backs. Will I be beating you in top 4 at Butler Cities, Alex Olajar?
Well, I'm not going to Butler Cities, so it's going to be tough.
I don't think he's going to make top 4 either.
There you go. Let me know if you beat me, because I won't know, because I'm not going to be there.
He's gonna play against somebody in top 4 and just like have him wear a K-Backs name tag or something. All right, here's a good question. Since Toad is down, people will most likely go with more items. If this happens, will Toad strike back in Standard?
It can try. I don't know. I wouldn't be afraid of it.
I'd be more worried about Trevenant or some new Vileplume decks popping up than Seismitoad popping up again. I don't think people are really going to drop their Jirachis throughout cities. It's such a non-invasive tech to beat something that could completely destroy your deck otherwise. So I don't think that's going to go anywhere for the time being. So I'd look more to Trevenant and Vileplume stuff for item lock decks to pop up.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Vileplume could mess with some of the decks that are at the top right now, if you can get it to be consistent.
Always, the big question is always, what do you play it with? If you can figure that out, then you got the deck.
I saw a Glalie EX Vileplume deck that made top 8. It didn't get past that, but that seems maybe something that could work, because you're going to be judging them, and Like if you judge them on turn 1 with the Vile Plume set up, they could just draw into like 4 items and lose the game.
True. Yeah. Okay.
Judge turn 1 is a lot of fun, I will say. I did that several times.
It basically comes to like who gets the better draw, maybe then. Unless you get
Well,
like
yeah.
the Glade turn 1 and then you get the Judge, then I can see it like destroying people.
My last round, Sunday, I got judged turn 1, and I think my opponent thought it'd just win him the game by judging me on the first turn. And then by the end of my first turn, I had 2 Mega Ray Quazos set up with a full bench. And I just knock out his Evol EX on turn 1. And then he just has a Zora, and then uses the Confusion attack. And then I just attach another double color with Retreat and knock that out to win the game.
Like, you might think that like Judge could destroy you turn 1, but you gotta remember, almost every
It
deck
can.
plays. Well, it can, but every
It
deck
destroyed
plays,
me.
Did it?
Day 2, I went 1-2 drop day 2. I got judged turn 2 into 2 floatstone and 2 energy, and I lost. Can
Okay.
destroy you.
Okay, that is true, but you gotta remember you play like 3 to 4 Ultra Balls, 1 to 3 Shamans. You got, I don't know. You should maybe be okay, but if you're like Kevin's situation, you could be totally just game over.
It depends on what deck you play as well. Like, I actually won some games with Mega Ray just by judging people on turn 1. Like, they would have some stuff to draw out of it, but it's just enough disruption when I'm able to just hit them 240 once they get a turn in, and they don't have as much as they need getting set up, then I just have such a big advantage where it didn't just win me the game right there, but set me up to where I was going to win the game.
Okay. Alright, so let's go to the next question. Best partner for Toad in Standard other than Giratina? I'm going to throw out Crobat. I don't know. Seems good. If you're not gonna play Sidestone Giratina, even though I don't think Sidestone's a great play, I think playing the Crobat line is probably the best way to go right now.
Yeah, Crobat's good. I've seen people playing it with that breaker attack.
Which one?
The one, I think it's from Ancient Origins. It's like fighting 2 colorless for
No, what's the
120
Pokemon?
to EX. Regirock.
Oh, Red Draw. Okay, there you go. Okay, I just
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
hear the Pokemon.
Gotcha.
I think I'd play it with Bronzong, and that's just because you can put it in there and only have one of them. I wouldn't want any deck with more than one Seismitoad right now, but sometimes just having that one Toad, if you pick your spot right and you Quaking Punch, that can win you the game. So one Toad could still be useful if I wouldn't build a deck around it right now.
I guess if we're going the Judge route, you could always double Meta Links, Judge, Quake it Punch, and then they're just like, well, great, I have a bad hand or something. Like, that could, like, destroy somebody. Let's see here. Do you need Mega Turbo and Mega Manectric Regice to beat Night March, or is Articuno enough to get the job done?
I've seen one Mega Turbo. I don't know, you probably just don't need it. It's cute, and like, if you miss an energy attachment at some point, it can bring you back into a game. But I wouldn't say it's completely necessary.
Yeah, I think if you play Mega Turbo, you'd be able to beat Night March a lot more consistently with it. So I think if you have a lot of Night March running around, it would probably be worth it to run it just to give yourself a better matchup against something that's popular. But I think Articuno is tough for Night March to play around because it takes 2 prizes to their 1, and then they need almost all their Night Marchers in the discard pile to actually one-hit KO a Mega Manectric. Says I think a lot of what the matchup comes down to is who ends up going first. Like, if you go first, you can get that extra energy attachment, while if you go second, you could just fall behind because there'll be a lot more set up on their second turn, and they might have opportunity to Lysander you or something if you try setting it up on the bench.
Okay. Um, I personally think you kind of need the Mega Turbo if you're going against Night March. Unlike what one of all said, like if Night March goes turn 2 and they get that turbo in 180 and they knock out your only Manectric with the energy somehow, then you're going to be behind. So you kind of need that Mega Turbo. I don't know how often like Night March gets to turn 180. I mean, I'm pretty sure it might be often like with multiple shamans and compressors and trainers and all that stuff. So. Next up is another question from Alex. It's the same question he asked last week. How good is Octillery? I don't know if this is like a running joke somewhere, but he asked again, how good is Octillery?
I think Octillery's pretty good. I'm still kind of just waiting for the right deck for it. But I think the biggest problem that Octillery has is that it doesn't have a good attack. That's the reason right now I would play Gallade over it, because Gallade has a... but I don't know, could be good.
Yeah, I think Octillery doesn't really fit Standard too well right now. Like, if you look at the cards with similar abilities like Electrode and Delphox, the decks that played those cards also had N in them. So a big part of those cards was being able to use N without having a disadvantage to your own setup, and then being able to draw out of N right away. Or when your opponent end you, you'd be able to draw out of it. Without N in the format, you don't really get disrupted as much. So you generally have a decent hand to play with. But I think it does have a few spots where it can see play. Like, I know people are playing it with Magnezone right now, and you kind of need that constant draw in a deck like that, because you might want to use your supporter for your turn on something like Fisherman. And when you're using your supporter for a utility like that, it's always good to have some extra draw so you can get more resources and get more Pokemon set up for your future turns.
Yeah, I think the only deck right now, like Wimball said, is definitely like just setup decks. Like, if you play a Rare Candy in your deck, you probably need Octillery, just so you can constantly hit that like Rare Candy. Octillery just helps you get that set up pretty easily. So if you're thinking about playing a Rare Candy deck, just make sure you think about Octillery. I'm not sure. Maybe like regular Machamp fighting deck. I don't know what deck plays. Gengar might play Octillery. Besides that, I don't know any other decks that might play it. Next question is thoughts on Mega Sceptile and how it goes with Breakthrough. I think it's bad just because Vespa Queen plays like Flareon. I just can't see. I don't know. I don't know how it's performing so well over in the UK and over there, but it has. So, what do y'all think about Mega Sceptile?
I mean, not every single Vespa Queen deck is playing Flareon. Like,
True.
a lot of the ones that I saw were playing just Bronzong. So, if you know your meta really well, it can be really good. I think this question was asked by Keegan.
Yeah, it was.
Okay, so I played against him in Indianapolis, and he was playing the Sceptile deck, and it seemed pretty good from what I saw. He was telling me that it's like has a really insanely good matchup against Raichu. So if people start shifting towards Raichu to beat Evil-Tall, then the counter to that, I think, would follow to be Sceptile. So there's kind of a cyclical metagame that could happen where Sceptile makes its way in.
I never had too much success with Mega Sceptile when I was testing it. My list might not have been all that good, so if someone wants to send me a list that's better and change my mind,
I'll
give you mine.
Go look when I interviewed Joe. He won average. Well, he didn't win. He made top 8 with Sceptile. So there you go. Go look at that list. There you go.
But actually, like, I've been looking more at expanded stuff, because that's what most of my cities are going to be in. It's just kind of a surprise to play Standard. I wasn't planning on playing last weekend. And I actually think not the Mega, but just regular Sceptile EX with Ariados and Burbank and Expanded has a lot of potential. With the Muscle Band, you're doing 180 after the poison damage, and that's a really good magic number. I'm not exactly sure what to play it with, but I think...
You just play with Bronzong and Smeargle, duh.
There you go.
Well, you don't even need the Smeargle. Like, I guess you
because
play
it just
one.
needs- yeah,
Yeah, you just need the attachment with the grass and then the Metal Links.
There you go. See, we look at us. We're figuring everything out.
But I'd rather have it powered up on turn 1 for... So maybe just like Sceptile with Hello and Energy Switch and
All right, look, I
Burbank.
got you, Wild. You play Sceptile with Forest of Giant Plants, and that way you can get the turn 1 Sceptile out.
That one doesn't do as much damage though.
No, but you're playing it so you can do the grass attachments. You attach the grass. Oh, you're trying you're trying to do damage with the. I'm talking
Unseen Claw or whatever.
about whatever the regular Sceptile is. You heal 30 and you attach a grass energy from your hand to a Pokemon. There you go. You can do that, and you can get a turn 1 because you play Forest of Giant Plants. But now then you're not playing Verbank. I don't know. Not a thing. Just go with Ho-Oh. That seems like the better option. Anything you have somebody to Rainbow Burn with. See. Okay. Alright. Never mind. We're good. So, what did we learn? I don't know. Mega Sceptile. Good against the Raichu Crobat because it can't be affected by bats. But an expanded, maybe play Sceptile version. I don't know. Next. My thing about Sceptile as well is that people are scared to go away from what they don't know. Like, if they don't know like how the deck will perform, they won't play it. That makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the thing to always think about. Mega Sceptile could be good, and nobody knows because nobody's playing it over here in America. I don't know. Next up is Mega Houndoom good? Question mark. If not, what variant will most likely be good sometime soon? I don't think Mega Houndoom is good. I think their Houndoom EX is good.
I would say that there are better Megas than Mega Houndoom, if you really want to do that. So, yeah, I probably would not for Mega Houndoom ever, doing really well.
Yeah, I think it does 10 less damage than it needs to in order to be good. I think if it did 170, it'd be solid, but 160 doesn't really do too much for you. And you can't play Muscle Band easily with it because it's a Mega.
Yeah.
So I try to avoid it. There's better stuff out there.
I will have to say, if you do want to play Mega Houndoom, the best way to play it is obviously with the Crobats and Golbats and stuff like that. That's probably your best route. But even then, it's not the best route. It's just, I don't know, it's not that. And then if you don't have the Blaze Energy or whatever's card, the I don't know, what's the Fire Energy called? Is it Blaze Energy?
Flash Energy.
Burning Energy.
Oh, Burning Energy, Blaze Energy, whatever.
You can call it Blaze It.
Look, I still call the Dark Energy Bad Energy, so I don't know the names of these cards because they don't get played really. But if you don't hit those, then you're just going to be a bad situation because then you're discarding your fires every turn. I mean, you could hit Blacksmith every turn and get lucky. I don't know.
Does that discard energy?
Yes, you have to discard all fires attached to it, I think.
Oh, that's really bad. I thought it kept all the fires.
I could be wrong. I could be wrong, though.
If it discards all the fires, it's really bad.
Well, somebody look it up. We got internet stuff. Go, Wild, go. I'll start looking at the answer to the last question. It's kind of directed towards Kevin. So, what supporters other than Sycamore, Judge, Lysander, Maxi, if Gallade is played, do you need in a Zoroark deck?
I still like including a Hex Maniac. It just is so good against so many different things, especially when there's so much Bronzong in the format. And yeah, that's the only, those 5 are the ones that I have to play. So.
Do you think you could ever see a Giovanni scheme in it to do the extra 20 damage or whatever it is?
We considered it this weekend. It just never beat out any of the other cards in my list for it. I've seen it in other lists, so, I mean, it's not the worst card you can put in. but I personally don't think Giovanni is completely necessary.
Okay. Did you find out Wimball?
Yes, so it does 80 damage, but then you can discard all your fires to do 80 more. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'd say never play that card. It probably won't go well.
Unless, like, everybody's playing Sceptile.
Yeah. But no, oh yeah, but never mind. I was gonna say, but then you can't hit him with Crobat, but it doesn't matter. You're smacking them for weakness. So, but yeah, I mean, do you have anything to add on for that? You hear the judge question or the supporter question for Zoroark?
I haven't played any games with the deck yet, so I'm not gonna give any advice on what to play in it.
There you go. So Kevin says Hex Maniac, maybe not so much on Giovanni's scheme, and I don't think there's any other supporter cards. No, like Birch or Shauna, if you want to play those, I guess go ahead.
No, don't do it. Please don't.
Don't do Birch.
These cards are so bad.
No, you always gotta play Birch.
Shauna's okay.
No, you don't play either of them.
Oh, Shauna's not okay, Wimball. You take that back.
Wait.
You always gotta risk it for the biscuit.
Play Trainer's Mail. Play 4 Trainer's Mail before you put any of those in.
I actually played, so my Mega Ray deck, I played 2 draw supporters, 1 Judge, 1 Shauna.
Get out of here. We had 351 people agree with it. You got to risk it to get the biscuit, or you got to risk it for the biscuit. So there's no way you ever play Shauna.
I think Shauna's almost strictly better than Birch.
Oh my goodness, we are going to start a fight right now.
Because people make the mistake.
Yeah.
Not
People-
a mistake.
People make the mistake with Birch where they take the average and look at it as you get 5.5 cards compared to Shauna's 5. But you never actually get 5.5 cards. You either get 4 cards or 7 cards. So it really depends on like how many options you have in your deck to where can you risk going down to 4. Because a lot of times that 5th card over just drawing 4 will raise your probability of drawing something usable by quite a bit. So Shauna generally has a safer return on investment than the Professor Birch does.
If you flip heads, you get 7 cards. That's 7
Wait, what?
cards, Wambalt.
Well, like in the Mega Ray deck I played this weekend,
7's more than 5.
I couldn't I couldn't play Professor Birch because at that point you're risking flipping heads, which is bad because then you deck out and then you don't have a card to draw to start your next turn. So you have to have the safe 5 draws. You know exactly what you're
You're
getting.
not risking it. You're just going safe. We're not about that. Ricky Bobby all day.
All right.
Alright,
Moral of the
that's-
story: try not to play either.
It's not from
Play better
Ricky Bobby
cards.
either. I just feel like shouting Ricky Bobby. I don't know.
That, on the other hand, on my Tyrantrum deck, I only played 4 Sycamore and 1 Judge for
There
draw
you go.
supporters because I was like, anytime I have to use a Birch or Shauna or a Giovanni's for draw, it's a bad turn and I'm probably gonna lose. So I was
Giovanni
like,
can draw cards? That's stupid.
Yeah,
Sounds
that's a
like-
supporter line I can get behind.
like it is really inconsistent, and like I played a bunch of AZs and stuff, so I had decent enough luck for it not to screw me over in Swiss, but then in top 8 in my 3rd game, I just kept drawing into AZs, and then that didn't go so well, so I lost
How many Trainer's Mail did you play?
0.
You got to put 4 in.
Look, we're not starting to argue with Wamball.
I played 4 Trainers Mail on Sunday, though.
Oh my
There you go.
goodness, Wamball playing Trainer's Mail.
I'm versatile.
Oh my goodness. Okay, alright. But I guess in the coming weeks, me and Wamball will probably just always be arguing which is better, Birch or Shauna. So look for that every week. Alright, guys. But do you have any more last remarks before we head out? Wait, no. Before we do that, are y'all going to any cities this weekend?
I haven't decided yet 100%. I'm trying to go down. There's there's 2 in like southern Indiana, like Western Kentucky area that I might go to. But all the rest of them are like really far away from me.
Yeah, I'll probably be going to one in Illinois and then one in Indiana.
Okay.
I'll probably play Kevin again this weekend.
Probably.
You gotta beat him this time. Don't do no tie. Just flip a coin. No, don't flip a coin. Don't do that. We do not condone randomizers. All right. I'll be at Memphis. My local cities is this weekend, and then on Sunday we have South Haven, which is a 30-minute drive south. Actually, Kevin is the city champion of South Haven, Mississippi currently. But
Oh man, I gotta come down and defend my title.
you gotta drive those 8 hours or however long.
Yep, I'll do it.
Oh man, sorry, Kevin. Maybe I'll get first and I get second this time around.
Alright.
Alright, there we go. Alright, guys. Well, thank you so much for watching the video. Hope you learned something new about Cities Week 2 or whatever you want to call it. Next week we'll have Wambalt like always, and we'll have somebody else. Maybe we'll let Wambalt picks it. He didn't pick it this week, slacking, but maybe he'll find somebody. If not, I'll find somebody again. It's not that hard for me. But thanks for everybody watching. I hope you have a great weekend. Good luck at cities. And down below, like I said at the beginning of the video, will be a link to the Charizard Lounge's article. You can see everything we are talking about. Make sure that if you go to a cities, you report it either on Wambalt's link. If you happen to be a Burbank, there's a Burbank article. Hopefully this time it gets pinned quicker, because it got pinned pretty late. We had to keep digging for it, which kind of stunk. Besides that, I think everybody's good to go. Subscribe. We hit 3,300 subscribers, so keep on going. Kevin was one of the first people to be on here when we had like less than 1,000, so there you go. Shout out to Kevin. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Alrighty, bye.